If you're considering a move to Austin, I see a lot of people, in my opinion, mistakenly pick a neighborhood or a side of town or a suburb based on the house alone. But what they fail to realize is that one merge on a highway or one bottleneck across a bridge can absolutely change your weekly commute and add hours and hours to it. So in this video, I'm gonna map out North Austin, South Austin, East and West, and all of the surrounding suburbs so that you can make sure and make an informed decision before you decide on where you want to live in the Austin area, not accidentally buy into a headache that you're going to regret. So we're gonna break it down. We're gonna do commutes to the common areas I see people go. You know, it's gonna be the tech corridor, the downtown area, and the airport, just because those tend to be the areas that most people commute to on the most regular basis. So let's hop into my office. I'm gonna pull it up on a computer and we're gonna take a deeper dive. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna turn traffic on, and right now it's, I don't know, what time is it? It's 10:30 at night. So the traffic's not bad. You'll see everything's green. I'm gonna go to typical traffic. I always pick a Tuesday. I don't know why, but I'm biased. What life looks like on a typical Tuesday, and let's go during rush hour. So about 5:15, 5:20, 5:30. You see that green went away. These are gonna be your major pain points. And I just kind of wanna give you a lay of the land real quickly, right? So North Austin suburb of Round Rock is right up here. You've got Round Rock, you've got Cedar Park. This is Lake Travis area, right? The Colorado River runs this direction all the way down into Austin. It turns into Lake Austin, and then it turns into Lady Bird Lake. And pay attention right here, where it crosses MoPac and where it crosses I-35, because we're gonna talk about the north-south options that you have. And the unfortunate truth is you have two main options and they both cross the river. So everything kind of funnels into one area, to two kind of choke points, so to say. So out to the west, you've got Dripping Springs in the Texas Hill Country. You've got Driftwood. Down south, you've got Buda. You've got Kyle. This is the Austin Airport right here. So when we're looking at the map throughout this video, this little blue patch right here near Del Valle by the 130 toll and 183, that is going to be the airport. We're gonna reference that quite a bit. So let me go ahead and clear what I've got on the map here. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit to where we kind of cut off, let's say, Buda and Round Rock to the north and south. So the first thing that you've got is you've got I-35, north to south. This is pretty much your spine of the city of Austin, right? It runs north to south. It goes through the Austin downtown corridor, which I'm going to, crosses that Colorado River at Lady Bird Lake again, and then it continues to head south into, you know, Buda, Kyle, even further south into San Marcos and San Antonio. So that's north to south, highway number one. Then you've got Loop 1, which is also called MoPac. For some reason here in Austin, we like to name things twice to make things extra confusing. So you'll see again, you've got a little bit of a relief out west. You know, this doesn't go straight through the heart of the city necessarily. You're gonna have an express lane on this road, but again, here and here are your choke points if you're headed south to north or north to south, because this entire demographic, whether you live here or you work here, anybody north of the river gets funneled to the river, and you've got these 2 points where you can cross. And the same thing goes for South Austin, right? You're here, you're funneling in. Everybody that lives or works down here that needs to cross the river just has two options, two main options to cross that river. So those are gonna be major choke points throughout this conversation that we're gonna have today. But you're gonna have a really good understanding of what commutes realistically look like in the Austin area by the time we're done with all this. So stick around to the end. We'll talk about a little bit of a framework that'll help you choose an area that works best for your life. So the next road that I want to highlight is going to be 183, right? So you've got Cedar Park up here. 183 kind of heads north to south and a little bit west to east as you head south. So you go across town, you cross MoPac, you cross 35 right here, turns into the 183 toll, and it goes down here to, again, we're at the airport. So this is your thoroughfare from Cedar Park down to the airport. Next, I want to highlight, you know, some of the important areas. North Austin is where the tech corridor is, right? So this is Parmer Lane. Parmer Lane is where most of the tech employers are located. So this yellow line here is kind of going to be your general tech corridor area. That's going to be super important for people that are relocating here for a tech job. And a lot of people do that, right? A lot of employers are here in Austin in the tech field. So a lot of people move here from out of state, from a different city in Texas, and they need to figure out how they can get to this little yellow line. So that's going to be an important one. Then I'm going to do one other color. This is going to be green because green moves faster. We're going to start working on toll roads. So when it comes to toll roads in the Austin area, you're going to start here all the way on the east side, and this is going to be our 130 toll. This isn't really utilizable by everybody, but it can be a great kind of secret passage that goes all the way around Austin proper. So if traffic's really, really bad on all these other thoroughfares that I've highlighted, 130 gets you kind of around Austin. So you can kind of skip the downtown Austin proper area and you can still get to the airport right here in this little blue zone. The next toll that I want to highlight is going to be 45. And I'm going to confuse you even more in just a second because this is 45 east to west across North Austin, 45 toll up north. Now, there's also a 45 toll down south. It's not very big, so it's not a huge make it or break it, but can be a little confusing when you say, hey, I'm gonna hop on the 45 toll, and there's two of them on the complete opposite sides of the town. We're gonna kind of perforate these, right? So 183, there's a little bit of a toll road on 183 up in this area here by Cedar Park, and then it turns into a toll road also down here. So I'm just gonna kind of put some green dots to let you know that 183 as a whole is a highway, but it does have some toll sections on it. Another one that I want to note is MoPac. MoPac has a express lane. So while it's not a true toll road, it does have an express lane that if you choose to hop onto it, which you have to pay for, so there is a toll involved, can speed up your commute a little bit north to south across Austin on MoPac. So you've got that express lane as an option on those extra frustrating traffic days. And then the next road that I want to highlight is going to be coming out from Dripping Springs. It's called 290, and it is your west to east, goes across Austin, connects into MoPac right here, crosses I-35 right where I'm at right now, and takes you straight to the airport. So that is kind of one of the only options you have coming from Dripping Springs, getting into Austin, and then you can hop on MoPac, hop on 35, go to the airport, hop on 183, whatever it is you need to do. This is your only choice getting out of the hill country in Dripping Springs. Those are going to be kind of the main arteries of the city, where there's going to be some other roads that we're going to use and we're going to talk about, but that's the Cliff Notes version of the main roads, the main things that you need to know about the Austin area. And realistically, if you're relocating, your main goal isn't a perfect commute every single day because that just really doesn't exist in the Austin area. What does exist is, again, something that is repeatable, that is predictable, and that can be kind of consistent, right? So you at least know what you're getting into when you hop in your car. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear off my elementary school style drawing across the map so you guys can see again. And one more quick note, if you're coming from a place like LA or New York, the Austin bad traffic, right, is gonna be really laughable. It's not that bad comparatively, but subjectively, if you're coming from a place like rural Indiana, then the Austin traffic can take a little bit of getting used to. So let's hop into a few real world examples. And the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna use 3 major anchor points as we go through all of this. So let's start in Round Rock. Let's get that pulled up on the map and I'll tell you what the 3 anchor points are gonna be. So the first anchor point, again, is going to be the domain. The second anchor point is going to be the airport. And the third is going to be the downtown corridor. Again, the places that most people travel or commute to when they're here in the city of Austin on a regular basis. So I want to edit a few of the settings here. We're going to go back to my go-to typical Tuesday morning. We're going to say we're leaving on a Tuesday morning and we want to get there by 9 a.m. because that's when people typically need to be at work, right? So coming from Round Rock, I'm gonna pull one more option up. Right now, we're going to be not avoiding anything. So we're gonna use tolls, we're gonna use highways, etc. No ferries in Austin, but we're going to come from from Round Rock down to the tech corridor. So you've got a couple of options. Realistically, I think let's do Round Rock right here, because the smartest way, Round Rock's a big area. It's not just that one little spot. It's this whole area up here. Most people are going to take 35 south. They're going to hop on the toll road, which is 45 for just a minute. And then they're going to head south on MoPac. And that's going to take you straight into, West Parmer Lane, this tech corridor right here, running west to east, east to west, and then the domain area, which is right down here. That's going to get you straight to the tech corridor. You're talking, it says 12 to 22. I'd give yourself probably 15 to 25 minutes or so to get from Round Rock to the tech corridor, depending on where you're working. If you are on Parmer Lane and you happen to work kind of more on this side, it might make more sense for you to take I-35 straight down south, and that'll get you right here. Okay, so both options are going to be about the same commute times though. So those are your options. We're going to turn tolls off, and that's going to show you what that looks like. So if you don't want to hop on the 45 toll and you're coming from north and Round Rock up here, you're just going to go straight down 35. You're going to cut across Parmer Lane, and then you're going to head south on MoPac to get to the domain. So not too bad, that's 16 to 35 minutes or so. Turn the tolls back on, and we're looking at 12 to 22 minutes. So you save a little bit of time. Convenience cost, you're paying for that toll, but it might be worth it to you if you're in a bit of a hurry or you just want to save time every week. So coming from that Round Rock area, the next place I want to take us to is downtown Austin. So let's just go to general downtown Austin area. Again, we've got tolls on. We're Tuesday during rush hour in the morning. So you're going to head down 35, hop on that 45 toll road going east to west, and then you're going to hop on MoPac. So you're going to be looking at, probably 25 to 50 minutes. Some routes are going to take you about 30 minutes to an hour. But if you just go straight down 35, you're looking at 30 to 55 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour to get to the downtown Austin corridor, right? So the good news is you don't have to cross the Colorado River to get to the tech corridor or to the downtown Austin area right here. So that's a really good thing. Let's go ahead and turn tolls off, and that takes you straight down 35, right? You're not hopping on this one little sliver of 45, but it's not making a huge difference or an impact because there's not much of a toll there. Next, I want to take us to the airport, right? We're going to turn tolls on so we can do best case scenario first. So best case scenario, you've got a couple of options. You're looking at, if you take 35, you're looking at 26 to 45 minutes or so. That's just going to take you straight out of Round Rock, down south on 35, and then you're going to hop on the 183 toll, and you're going to be fed straight into the airport here by Del Valle. Now, there's another option. If there happens to be a wreck on 35 or the 183 toll, then you can hop over to this kind of city circumvention toll road that I talked about earlier, which is at 130. So 130 runs right here. So you can take the toll road 45, and then you can hop on 130, and you can pretty much circumvent all of Austin. It's a little bit farther of a drive, but it moves, right? You go fast out here because there's not as much congestion, there's not as much traffic, and you can get straight to the airport right there. So again, we're looking at 26 to 35 minutes, 26 to 45 minutes coming from Round Rock to the Austin airport. So the next thing I want to do is get us to Cedar Park, because that's another really popular North Austin-ish suburb. A lot of people that choose to live there end up commuting to the tech corridor. So let's do Cedar Park, Texas. We're going to do this in the same order every time. So let's do the domain. So here was Round Rock. Here's where Cedar Park is on the map. So zoom in a little bit. Let's get us to the tech corridor. So you've got a few options. Again, we're keeping the same day, Tuesday, rush hour in the morning. And we're coming from Cedar Park with tolls on. So with tolls on, you're looking at 15 minutes to 26 minutes. I'd call that 15 to 30 minutes just to be safe, right? You're going to head south on either 183 toll or just the 183 regular highway. You're going to continue straight south and hop onto MoPac. And then you can go north on MoPac. That's going to get you straight to the domain. Your other option is going to be very similar in time. This is going to be more for the people that are working, on this side of the tech corridor over here, not necessarily right by the domain, but kind of in this Tech Ridge, kind of Gracie Woods area, McNeil. So this one, Same thing, you're gonna hop on 183 or 183A toll, you're gonna hop on 45 and head out east. So you're gonna head east, and then you can pop south on MoPac instead of north on MoPac. You're gonna pass Wells Branch, and then you pretty much get to the tech corridor right around this area here. So that's the next option for getting there. I'm gonna turn tolls off real quickly so you can kind of see the difference. So right now, best case scenario, getting to the domain, 16 to 26 minutes. Let's turn tolls off, 16 to 35 minutes. So you're not saving a whole lot of time. The main thing that changes is you're not hopping on this 183A toll, and it's cutting out any option to use this 45 east to west to go south on MoPac right here. So you're just taking 183 all the way into Austin, hopping on MoPac, and then going up to the tech corridor. So from the tech corridor, let's move on to downtown Austin. So Cedar Park to downtown Austin, you've got a few options here. Let's turn tolls on and see what we were looking at. So Cedar Park to the downtown Austin area. It's not undoable, but you can see it varies consistently, right? Varies considerably, excuse me. You're looking at somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what's going on that specific day with traffic. So it's a bit of a commute, you know. People that are going to be commuting on a regular basis to the downtown Austin area might end up considering something a little bit more central to Austin than Round Rock or Cedar Park. But coming in from Cedar Park, you know, you've got 30 minutes to an hour. Let's avoid tolls and see what that adds for us. You're adding 5 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour and 5 minutes. So let's just talk tolls because that's what most people are going to choose to do. So again, you're going to take 183. You're going to fly down 183. 183 moves pretty quickly when it's not rush hour, but during rush hour, it can get pretty congested. So if you can, plan your work week accordingly. And if you can skip those morning and afternoon rush hour times, that's going to save you considerably a lot of time and a lot of stress and a lot of frustration. So that's option one. The only other kind of option you have is to, instead of taking 183 to 35, you're going to take 183 to MoPac, which is what I'm drawing right now. And then you're just going to head into downtown Austin. Again, big bonus, you don't have to cross the Colorado River. So these are going to be pain points. Really nice not to have to cross that area. Let's go to what does it look like to get to the airport. So Cedar Park to airport, best route with tolls, you're looking at about 30 to 45 minutes. You're gonna see a similar commute as if you were going downtown. Be going down 183, you're gonna take 183 toll around Austin instead of hopping on 35, and then that's gonna feed you straight into the airport. So it's a fairly easy drive if you don't catch 183 during rush hour. But again, 30 minutes to 45 minutes during rush hour, still manageable, right? That's not absolutely insane. It's just not great. Let's say we're avoiding tolls. So now we're still 30 minutes to an hour, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So we're adding roughly 15 minutes if we want to avoid the toll road. If you avoid the toll road, you're just gonna go straight from Cedar Park, 183 the whole way, and you're gonna pop down here. You don't have to hop on the 183 toll. I should have said that earlier, but the 183 toll, you can stay on kind of the traditional kind of feeder 183, or you can hop on the 183 toll. So if you want to save some time, you can hop on that toll road. You'll see when I turn right now, this is avoiding tolls. This is using tolls. So it still takes you on 183. So that's something that you're not really going to be able to avoid, but you might be able to hop on some access roads and things like that to avoid paying the toll. So I hope it's starting to make a little bit of sense that North Austin makes sense for people that are going to have most of their day-to-day commutes, most of their life is lived in North Austin or the North Suburbs. That's going to include, again, places like the Domain, the Tech Corridor. Where it starts to get a little bit sticky is when you start heading, down into South Austin, even getting into downtown, going to the airport. You've just got a big commute from North Austin all the way down south, either into the downtown corridor or over here into the airport area. So makes sense for people working in the tech corridor. The big lever here is the 45 and the 183A toll can really turn a rough day into something that's a little bit more manageable and isn't gonna have you, banging your head against your steering wheel on the way to and from work every day. Ultimately, you're really just paying for predictability when it comes to the toll roads. North Austin is where I see the majority of buyers not have and avoid that kind of I didn't realize moment, right? So long as you're realistic with your commutes and you're not having to go far south on a regular basis, it's a win. So next I want to talk South Austin. So we're gonna go from north all the way down to South Austin, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna repeat this for every area. We've got our 3 anchors, and we're just gonna kind of see what it looks like. When it comes to South Austin, the South Suburbs, you've got Buda, you've got Kyle. Some people even end up choosing San Marcos, but that's a little bit of an outlier. And then over here, you've just got the basic South Austin area. You've got Manchaca right here. Used to be called Manchac. They changed it. Now everybody calls it Manchaca. I'm not sure why. And then if we zoom in a little bit, I'm gonna have to clear my map or the doodles to zoom in, but you're gonna see kind of your Circle C Ranch area is right here. You've got Onion Creek right here. This is kind of the South Park Meadows area, South Congress. Anything south of the river is really considered South Austin, but I've lived here my whole life. I don't consider anything south of the river 100% South Austin. I would say that's kind of still in the kind of downtown-ish corridor. I use kind of 290 where it crosses 35. Like anything south of 290, I consider South Austin. And then everything up here is just kind of south downtown. So right now I've got Buda pulled up. This is going to the tech corridor, but right now it is what? It's almost 11 o'clock at night when I'm filming this video. So let's go ahead and change this to our typical Tuesday. So we're going to pop that back into a Tuesday, and we're going to say arrive by 9 a.m. when most people need to be at work. So let's see how that changes. So you're looking at 40 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. 40 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. So it's a little bit of a drive. If you're working in the tech corridor, Buda might be a little bit too far south for you. Kyle's gonna be even farther south, which is down here. So just something to keep in mind. Some people do it. People absolutely love South Austin. South Austin vibe in general. South Austin, the southern suburbs, feel a little bit more Austin, right? They're a little bit more trendy. They're a little bit more artsy. They just kind of have that keep Austin weird vibe that you don't really get up in the northern suburbs, Cedar Park, Northwest Hills, in the North Austin area. It's a little bit more corporate, I'd say. It's not that one's better or worse. It's just kind of like, what vibe are you looking for here in the greater Austin area, and what kind of commute are you looking for? And you can kind of mix and match both to the best of your ability. So if you're finding this video a little bit helpful, it's helping to alleviate a little bit of the stress, don't hesitate to click that subscribe button. I release new videos every single week, just like this, because my goal is to help you make a smart move, not just a move. I want to take away the anxiety. I want to take away the stress. So click that subscribe button and let's hop back in. So let's just kind of map out what we're going to be doing here. So coming from Buda, you've kind of got to take a little bit of a roundabout way. You're kind of not going straight onto 35 because you don't want to deal with 35 during rush hour traffic. Everybody from Kyle, Buda, even some people in San Marcos commute into the downtown area, and they're all on 35 during rush hour. So you're gonna take a little bit of a back and forth route. You're gonna hop onto the 45 toll, and that's gonna feed onto MoPac Loop 1. Now, again, you can use the MoPac Express lanes on Loop 1 here. And that's going to save you a little bit of time. This is going to be one of your pain points because everybody has to cross the river, and they're doing it either right here or right here. So you're going to keep headed north, and you're going to end up in the domain area about right there. So let's turn that off. Let's go up a little bit. So here you see you end at the domain. You've got the tech corridor kind of in this general area right through here. So that is the farthest you're going to have to go north on our anchor points. So next, let's do downtown Austin from Buda. We've got tolls turned on. So you're looking at 35 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes or so. It's not horrible if you don't catch it during wreck or some bad weather or anything like that. 35 minutes is manageable commute in the morning, in my opinion. But from Buda, most people just head straight up 35 and they cross the river. Of course, you're going to have that pain point right there. And then you end up in the downtown area. Your other option is similar to if you're going to the tech corridor. You're just going to hop on 45 toll. You can hop on MoPac, take that express lane all the way up here. And then you're going to, again, have to cross the Colorado River right here. And then you're going to be into the downtown Austin area pretty quickly, and I say pretty quickly, subjectively, right? 35 minutes could be really quick. you could also be looking at over an hour, which is a little bit stressful in the mornings, in my opinion. And then lastly, let's go ahead and go to the airport. So we're going from Buda to the Austin airport. So here you've got a few options. We've got tolls turned on right now. You're looking at about 25 to 40 minutes or so. You're gonna hop on 35 for a little bit, and then you're gonna take the 45 toll right off of I-35. So you really don't have to get on 35 for that long, which is really, really good. The 45 toll west to east moves pretty quickly, and then you hop right on to the 130 toll, and that's going to take you out behind the airport, and then you're going to go through Del Valle and pop into the airport. You know, that's probably your path of least resistance. Let's go ahead and clear that off, and then we'll look over our other quick option right here. You know, we're looking 28 to 55 minutes if you just take I-35 all the way up north, and then you hit what we talked about earlier, which is Ben White, 290 and 71. So this is going to be 71 Ben White straight out to the airport. This can get pretty congested, this area of 35 in rush hour in the morning. So I think this would be my bet. If I were making the commute, I'd be willing to pay for that little saving of time. So if it were me, you know, I'd avoid 35 at all costs, and I would take 45 over to 130. You could even take 45 to 183 if this is a little bit backed up for whatever reason. So you've got a couple of options there. So right here, just to kind of give you a little bit more of an interesting view of, you know, the Buda area. So we're going to be in Buda. You can see 35 running right here. You can see that we're going to be facing the Texas Capitol, which is going to be the downtown area. As you kind of go out this direction, you've got the airport. But what I want to kind of show us is just what we're looking at when it comes to Buda to downtown. So there, again, you've got the airport, and then you've got downtown over here. You can kind of see it in the distance, and we'll kind of zoom in to the downtown skyline. One thing that I want to show you coming in from Buda, just to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic instead of just looking at a map, I guess. But here's your 35 where everybody has to kind of be filtered in from up here in the north. Everybody gets filtered into this funnel, right? So everybody gets right here. Everybody coming from south to north that has to cross the river gets funneled right there. Your other option is, your other main option at least, is going to be MoPac. So here's MoPac, here's where it crosses the Colorado River. Again, you don't have a whole lot of options. You can either cross at 35 or you can cross at MoPac. One thing I do want to do is, this is going to be your Lamar. That's going to be probably your best bet if you don't want to take MoPac or I-35, is going to be taking Lamar right here, just on the west side of the major downtown area. Because you can see it continues, right? It just kind of flows. It's a little bit bigger of a road, and it actually goes somewhere. Now, when we get to South First and to Congress is where you kind of start running into problems. So you'll see Congress just runs directly into the state capitol. So if you cross at Congress, then you've got to kind of dissipate, get through downtown, and then hop on 35 or some other major thoroughfare to get north if you're headed north. Same thing with South First. You know, you're going South First, it really just dead ends into downtown. And then you've got to kind of scramble to get through all of this kind of urban jungle before you get past downtown. So it can be a little bit more difficult when you're talking about crossing in the alternative routes, I guess is what I'll say. All right, so let's stick with the South Austin kind of vibe for now. So this is Circle C. It's a pretty popular South Austin suburb. It's got some really nice homes. It's a really popular neighborhood. So coming in from Circle C, you'll see Buda is where we were at before. That's a suburb. Circle C is actually a neighborhood within Austin proper, right? So it's within the city of Austin, South Austin. So we're coming from South Austin, Circle C, and you're going to take MoPac. And I wish that CVS thing would stop popping up. So you're going to take MoPac all the way up into the downtown corridor. You're going to pass Barton Springs Pool, Zilker area, and then you're going to, again, have to cross the Colorado River right here. You're looking at about 20, 25, maybe 50 minutes during rush hour. Just for fun, I'm going to show you that the tolls don't really change anything because there's not very many tolls here in South Austin when you're considering getting into the downtown area. Ultimately, at its core, South Austin can make a lot of sense for people that are commuting to the airport on a regular basis because you don't have to really cross the river, or if they're going to just the downtown area, because while you do have to cross the river to get into downtown, you're not really having to do much else, right? So once you cross the river, you're pretty much into the downtown area. Now, that being said, heading from South Austin, Circle C, Manchac, Onion Creek's right here where you see this blue dot, that's where I'm at right now. Going from that area, anywhere down south up to the tech corridor can be a little bit hectic, right? It might not be the best option. You might want to consider either something more central or something up on the north side of Austin to make your commute a little bit more tolerable. Now that we've covered kind of the northern Austin, northern suburbs area, we've covered south, let's head out to our options out west. And I'm gonna start with Steiner Ranch. So headed from Steiner Ranch, before we get too deep into it, I just kind of want to show you what your limitations are when you choose something out west by the airport area, right? So you're going to see, and I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that for now. Actually, let's just do that. There. So you're going to see Lake Travis right here. You're going to see that there's not a lot of parallel options, right? So if you're talking, the Hills, Lakeway, Steiner Ranch, anything over here by Lake Travis, you don't have a lot of major thoroughfares, right? So we're gonna zoom in just a little bit so we can make sure and see the names of the roads so you can maybe take a screenshot or take a picture of this, but you've got just a few options. So you've got 71 that's gonna feed into 290, which turns into 290 Ben White. You've got Ranch Road 620. Oops. That runs here and goes all the way up to toll 45. You've got 360, and this 360 bridge is really, really pretty where I just crossed the Colorado River. And that feeds into MoPac. And then you've got this road going here through Sienna Hills into Lost Creek. And those are kind of your main options. What I'm trying to show you here is you don't have those parallels. You don't have those just kind of straight shots into the downtown area, over to the airport, or up north to the kind of domain or the tech corridor area. So let me clear that off really quick. And let's start with Steiner Ranch to the domain. So right now, Steiner Ranch is right here. Again, this is Lake Travis. Lake Austin is the Colorado River, and then it turns into Lady Bird Lake. So Steiner Ranch, you're gonna kind of have to take a little bit of a just go through and wait till you get to a major road. You're gonna hop on to 2222. So 2222 is going to take you east to 360. 360 is gonna be your connection to MoPac. And then you're gonna hop on MoPac. Again, you can take the express road if you need to, or express lane, excuse me. You're gonna get to the domain, you're gonna get to the tech corridor kind of up in this general area through here. So you're looking at about 25 to 50 minutes. I'd call it 30 minutes to an hour, just to kind of be safe. So that's what your route looks like coming from the Steiner Ranch area to the tech corridor. And I didn't select any tolls because there's no tolls. That's one thing I want to note is when it comes to everything over here in West Austin, you don't really have tolls that aren't going to make a big difference or an impact. Those are going to make a bigger impact on people that are coming from North Austin, the northern suburbs, into downtown, into the airport area, and some people that are coming from south getting to the airport too, or people that want to just go all the way from South Austin up north and just circumvent the whole city and then land in, Round Rock if they're headed to Georgetown. Could be a good way to avoid the congestion going through the city center here in Austin. So we're looking at the commute from Steiner Ranch to downtown, and you're looking at about 30 minutes to an hour. That's pretty standard, right? I know that's a big gap. You're almost doubling your time, but again, with all of these different kind of connecting roads before you get onto any major thoroughfares, traffic happens, right? Little fender benders can actually back up really, really quickly because they're 2-lane roads or 4-lane roads. So they're not highways that you can't just go around an accident like you can on, on a highway. That's still going to make an impact, but at least there's some space on a highway. So from Steiner Ranch, you're going to take pretty much the same route that you would to get to the tech corridor, but instead of going up to the tech corridor on MoPac, you're going to head to MoPac off of 360, and then you're going to head south. Again, you can hop on the express lane. That's where it really comes into play, is kind of in this area, because it can get really congested. So that might be a good option. And then you just head over and you're in the downtown area. Again, 30 minutes to an hour, just for fun. I'm going to clear that off and I will show you tolls aren't going to make any difference. So fastest route right now, 30 minutes to an hour. Fastest route right now, still 30 minutes to an hour. There's no toll roads. Okay, so now let's talk Steiner Ranch over here in West Austin, Lake Life to the airport, right? So you've got quite a bit of a commute. You're looking at about, 30 miles, give or take, depending on which route you take. So this is where, even though the tolls aren't in West Austin, the tolls do play a factor in your commute when you're headed to the airport. So I'm gonna kind of show you where we're headed. So, we're not going to 7-Eleven. So you're gonna go Steiner Ranch, you're going to hop onto 620 up by Lake Travis, and then you're gonna hop onto 2222. 2222 is going to take you to 360, just as if you were going to the tech corridor. Then you're gonna take 183 all the way, hop on the toll road 183, that's where the toll road comes in, and that's gonna pop you out right here at the Austin airport. Now, let me zoom out a little bit and let's say avoid tolls. So we just went 35 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. So you're over an hour on a bad day. You're gonna take a similar route to get to 360, but then you're gonna head south on 360 so you don't have to hop on that 183 toll right here. And you're going to feed into 71, Ben White, two names, same road. And that's gonna pop you into the airport right down here. So it makes a little bit of a difference. With the tolls avoided, you're looking at 35 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. And then using the tolls, you're looking at 35 minutes to an hour and 5 minutes. I know that doesn't seem like much, but pull it up on Waze, Google Maps, whatever it is that you use. It really can make it be an hour and 10 minutes if you avoid the tolls, and then it could be 35 minutes if you actually use the tolls. So it could definitely still be worth it. Even though those kind of ranges were a little bit similar, it can make a really big impact. So while we're in the West Austin area and the West Suburbs, let's hop out to the gateway to the Hill Country, which is Dripping Springs, Texas. It's an absolute fantastic area. It's called the Gateway to the Hill Country. Beautiful views, I call it the Texas chill country. It's a really, really cool area. This is actually where I grew up and spent a lot of my life. We still have property out here. I might be biased, but I absolutely love Dripping Springs. I love all of West Austin. You've got good schools, you've got great views, you've got lake life or the chill kind of vibe in Dripping Springs. Just a cool area overall. But what you're gonna notice right now, we're headed to the airport, right? So we're gonna do this backwards. Usually I go tech corridor, downtown airport. I've already got the airport pulled up, so let's head there first. So you're going 290 from west to east. You're looking at 35 minutes to an hour, and we're not avoiding tolls or anything like that. It's pretty much a straight shot, right? You're going straight from Dripping Springs, 290, Ben White, 71, all the way to the airport. So it's a straight shot. Tolls aren't really gonna make much of a difference. I'll do the tolls, 35 minutes to an hour, tolls 35 minutes to an hour. So with or without, you're looking at 35 minutes to an hour. There's no toll roads that are going to impact this commute. Next, let's go downtown. And one thing you're going to notice, again, up here, you don't have a lot of options, but you have a few. Out in Dripping Springs, you've pretty much got one option, and that's your 290. So until you get to the Austin area where you hit, MoPac or you hit 35, you're taking most of your commute time. Just getting into the Austin area is going to be on that 290 Ben White. So we're headed downtown. You're going to take 290 and then you are going to pop onto MoPac. You're going to head north just a little bit. Again, you've got to cross the river. That's going to be one of your pain points. And then you're going to be in the downtown corridor. It's not really that bad, right? I wouldn't say that just because you have to cross the river, don't live in Dripping Springs. If you go downtown often, most of your commute time is going to be spent here. You're going to spend a little bit of time crossing the river, and then you're going to be into the downtown area. Your other option, which is very close, 35 minutes to an hour with what we've got selected now using MoPac. And then if you switch that to I-35, again, you still have to cross a river. You're 40 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. So very similar commute. Check your maps, check your apps, see which one's fastest for that particular day and take that one, because there could be a wreck here or a wreck here, and that's going to make you want to choose the opposite option. So from Dripping Springs, this is where I think it gets a little bit hairy when you're going from Dripping Springs into the Domain area, because that commute into the tech corridor is pretty substantial, right? I mean, we're looking over 30 miles here. Again, I've already said it, but you're going to take 290 all the way into the major Austin area. You're going to hop on MoPac and you're just going to head straight north. You can save a little bit of time, like I said, on this road because you've got that MoPac express lane. You don't have to use the express lane. Just, take it day by day. Figure out if it's worth paying the extra little bit to speed up your commutes. But this is where I think it makes more sense to live up in one of the more northern suburbs or just the North Austin area. It's a heck of a commute getting from Dripping Springs and commuting every day to and from work if you're working in the tech corridor. Now, some people think that the Texas Hill Country is absolutely worth it, and that's fine, right? But you just have to be realistic. You have to know what you're going to expect. And when you know what to expect, it's a lot less frustrating day to day. So the Texas Hill Country can be an absolutely fantastic option. Just, make sure that you're prepared. Don't choose something on accident that ends up punishing you when it comes to a commute 5 days a week and you absolutely drive yourself mad. So we've covered north, we've covered south, we've covered the Texas Hill Country out west and out by the lake. Now let's dive into what East Austin commutes look like on a day-to-day basis. And I'm looking at the map right now. Del Valle is one of the Austin suburbs that is up and coming. It's growing really, really quickly. The schools can look a little bit rough on paper, but it's very campus by campus, just as most of Austin really is. But you've got kind of the East Austin downtown area, which is just east of 35. And then you've got Del Valle right here. Those are kind of the main areas that we're going to focus on. So as you can see, coming from East Austin, you've got a couple of options. They're fairly similar. If you head to the downtown area and then go up I-35, so your East Austin is still kind of, in my opinion, parts of it, especially central East Austin right here, still kind of feel like you're in the downtown area. You've still got a lot of restaurants, you've got a lot of music venues, you've got easy access to things that are a little bit more walkable. Anyways, so if you head from East Austin, you're going to pop out right here on I-35 and you're just going to head straight up north until you hit 183 and you're going to take that to MoPac. That's going to feed you right into the Domain kind of tech corridor where we're at right now. So you've got another option, which is instead of heading west and going on to 35 or MoPac to get to the tech corridor, you can go east. You can go east from East Austin, and then you can hop on the 183 toll and then take that kind of around the congested part of Austin. This is where it's going to be most congested during rush hour because you've got downtown, you've got MoPac, you've got 35. People use those two main thoroughfares to get just about everywhere in Austin. So if you can circumvent that, take the 183 toll. It's still going to be a little bit hectic during rush hour. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but you're going to take 183 and then you're going to hop on to MoPac and then you're going to be in the tech corridor up in this area here. Then let's see if we avoid tolls, what that's going to do for us. That's just going to pop us straight up 35 again. So you've got some options. If you're coming from East Austin, you need to get to the tech corridor. You can adjust things, depending on if there's a wreck on one road, you've got 183, you've got 35, and you've got MoPac. MoPac, you're looking at 20 to 35 minutes. 35, you're looking at 16 to 26 minutes. And over here, taking the 183 toll, you're looking at 22 to 35 minutes. Now, that might be the best option if 35 and MoPac are really, really congested again. Don't take that maximum time as what it's always going to take. If you hop on the toll road, you're going to move faster than you will here or here on certain days. So we're going to skip the anchor point going from East Austin to downtown because it's pretty much a straight shot. You're not really looking at much of a commute at all. What I'd like to do is use Del Valle as our anchor point, right? So Del Valle as our anchor point, going from Del Valle into our downtown corridor. So you're going to have Del Valle, you're going to go past the airport on 71 Ben White, and then you are going to hop onto 35. Pain point always is where everything funnels together right here in Bottlenecks. You've got the river crossing, and then once you cross the river, you're going to have a little bit of traffic, and then you're just going to be in the downtown area almost instantaneously once you pass the river. So you're looking at about 20 to 35 minutes on a typical Tuesday during rush hour, right? So we don't really need to talk about the commute from Del Valle to the airport because that's pretty self-explanatory. Del Valle is right next to the airport. One thing that I think kind of helps a little bit make sense of things is let's go back to just the general East Austin area and let's look at our commute to the airport, because it's really easy. If you live in East Austin, you don't have to cross 35 at the river. You don't have to cross MoPac at the river to get to the airport. So if you travel a lot, a house or one of the condos in the downtown central East Austin area might be a good move because you can easily get to the airport. And then the commutes from the center of Austin are all fairly easy. So in a nutshell, East Austin is honestly an area that is often overlooked, especially the Del Valle area, by relocation buyers because you don't hear about it very often. It's not super popular. It's not on Instagram. It's not in the heart of the Austin vibe, but it could make a lot of sense if you're commuting, to the airport on a regular basis. It's pretty easy access to the tech corridor, and it's not that hard to get south of the river from East Austin either. So it could make sense for you if you're willing to kind of move into one of the more little bit up and coming areas that might have a lot of growth in the future, but right now is still kind of under construction. If you're finding a little bit of value and this map tour video is relieving a little bit of stress and anxiety if you're considering moving to Austin, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. I release new videos just like this every single week, and I love helping people just like you stay in the know. So hit that subscribe button and let's jump back in. So let's just kind of dive into the downtown area, right? So again, we're looking at downtown Austin right here. We've got I-35 crossing the Colorado River here. We've got MoPac crossing the Colorado River here. MoPac also referred to as I mentioned, Loop 1. Those are your main pinch points from a bird's eye view on the satellite here. So what I'd like to do is kind of just look at downtown and kind of get a lay of the land, so to say. So we're looking at the downtown skyline, out this direction, you've got the lake, you've got Lake Travis way out there. You've got Steiner Ranch, you've got Rollingwood, Lost Creek. And then as we turn, you've got Bee Caves, you've got Cedar Valley and Dripping Springs out that direction. And then let's go back this way and let's look at, the kind of tech corridor. So your tech corridor is going to kind of be over here in this area. There's your MoPac, here's your downtown. So as you go up north, you're going to hit the Domain area right through here. You've got St. David's Medical Center, Wells Branch, but this is going to kind of be your general tech corridor area through this patch. And then we're going to go back to downtown and we're going to turn our view out this direction towards the east. And I just want to show you where the airport is in comparison to downtown. So as a downtown focal point, it doesn't really matter. If you live downtown, you've got easy access to just about everywhere. The problem is you just have to get out of downtown. So you leave downtown. If you have to head south, you're going to have 35, or you're going to have the MoPac River crossing to deal with. And even if you don't have to head south and you're heading north, you're still going to have to hop onto 35 and MoPac to get just about anywhere. And those can get congested during rush hour. So I just kind of wanted to give you a bird's eye view and kind of zoom into what the city looks like, where the other areas are. You can see Buda off in the distance here, on 35. I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking Onion Creek is right about over here. You've got McKinney Falls State Park. You've got Sunset Valley out this direction, the LBJ Wildflower Center that you see right here. That is going to be right next to the Circle C area. And this Dick Nichols Park is also in the Circle C area. So just a quick lay of the land. This is what Austin looks like from a plane, so to say. So let's dive into the next part. So let's actually dive into the real world application of everything that we've talked about, right? What's the framework that we can use to make sure that you buy into something that is tolerable at best, right? So you don't want to be buying into a day-to-day headache on accident without realizing it. So if you're commuting to the Austin downtown area, you're gonna wanna try to live where downtown is a bit of a straight shot, whether that's going to be South Austin, just straight up 35, over here, over by Circle C, or even, in the northern area, some of the northern suburbs. It's going to be a lot easier to get downtown if you can hop on one of these straight shots, especially East Austin, east side of downtown. Even if you're south of the river, you can get downtown fairly easily. A lot of people do commute from, out in Steiner Ranch, the hills, the Bee Cave area. Westlake Hills is really easy. It's pretty straight shot and a short drive to get to the downtown area. So you're just going to want to make sure that you're not stacking a whole lot of bottlenecks, right? Just expect that when you cross one of the rivers on one of the thoroughfares, you're going to hit a little bit of traffic, but it's going to be tolerable if you get close enough. Now, if you're commuting from a place like Buda, you've got to expect that there's going to be a considerable amount of traffic during rush hour on 35. Same thing with Round Rock, 35 is going to have quite a bit of traffic during rush hour. So is MoPac. So the closer you can live to downtown Austin, if you're commuting there on a regular basis, is going to make your life a lot easier. Downtown Austin is quintessential Austin, right? I mean, that's what everybody hears about. That's why everybody travels to visit the city of Austin, is they want to experience a downtown lifestyle. So if you're going to be tech corridor heavy, that's going to put us kind of in this general area right here, then north makes a lot of sense. The northern suburbs like Cedar Park, you've got Round Rock, you've got Pflugerville, Leander up here. Those can all make sense if you're going to spend most of your time and your commute is going to be into the tech corridor, the North Austin area. Makes a lot of sense. South is doable. You just have to be a little bit strategic because you've got to time your crossing of the river to get up north, whether you're taking 35 or MoPac across the river. You just have to be a little bit intentional and a little bit strategic if you're going to make that commute from the South Austin to the North Austin area. And then if airport travel matters a lot, I'm going to go ahead and clear those off. Here's our airport right here. If that's going to be something that you're doing on maybe a weekly basis, maybe you travel a lot for work and you're going to the airport multiple times a week, then, the Del Valle East Austin area is definitely going to make things a heck of a lot easier. And you're also going to find it to be pretty easy if you live, kind of anywhere in the South Austin, South Suburbs area to get to the airport. It's going to be a fairly simple commute for you day to day or weekly or whatever it might be if you travel a lot. In a nutshell, the best commute in the Austin area isn't absolutely perfect. It's one that is repeatable and tolerable. It's one that's going to make sure that you don't absolutely go crazy Monday through Friday, every single day of the work week. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name's Justin Rossi. I make videos just like this to make sure that people that are considering relocating to the Austin area make a smart move, not just a move. And I hate to see people absolutely fall in love with a house and then 6 months into it realize that the hidden cost wasn't the cost of the home, wasn't the actual neighborhood, but it was in fact the commute times, and they absolutely can't stand it. And then they end up wanting to move to a different part of town to make their commutes easier in 6 months. If you want a second set of eyes on things, I'm happy to help. Send me, your top 2 destinations, whether it be the airport, downtown, or the tech corridor, and then 1 or 2 areas that you're kind of considering moving to in the Austin area. And I'll give you a real version of, what I see catches people off guard, what I see work really, really well, and make sure that you find an area that actually matches your life and gives you a tolerable commute. As always, I make these videos so that I can connect with people. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm here to help people just like you. I made this video. I make new videos every single week so that I have the chance to connect with relocating buyers that are thinking about moving to Austin to make sure that they make a smart move, not a move that they're going to regret in 6 months.